Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I picked up a little book called You Too Can Be Prosperous by Robert A. Russell. And this book is about the spiritual secrets of abundance and prosperity. We grew up in a world that, for most people, it seemed preposterous to think about prosperity. If you think about where our grandparents and great grandparents came from, there was so much lack, limitation, poverty. A lot of families were affected by the wars, and people focused on scarcity, just having enough to eat, just getting by. The good thing that came out of that period of time was people helped each other. They looked after their neighbors. If new people moved in, they took over a loaf of bread or a tray of baking or some muffins. You borrowed a cup of sugar from your neighbor, not because you couldn't go to the store and buy some, but because it was just handy and you knew who your neighbors were. But people have talked about not having enough and not being able to afford, and poverty has become a habit for a lot of families, for a lot of people. It's just the habitual way we think that continues to keep us stuck in patterns. And Robert Russell wrote this book many, many years ago. This book was copyrighted in 1950. I'm just going to talk about some of the highlights in this book. He said, "This idea, you open the door to a source of all achievement, wealth, power, success, discovery, invention, and material gain. This idea is so big, so powerful, and so irresistible in its action that it will magnetize everything in your life and cause everything to vibrate in harmony with it. It will draw success, work, opportunities, and beneficial activities of every sort to you. Prosperity, one single idea. Think of it as power. Think of its far-reaching influence. The moment that idea begins to work for you, everything in your life begins to change. The moment everything begins to improve, it is your key to well-being. It is God breaking through to reveal to you the glories and riches of his kingdom. Write this down. Say it over and over and over. I am prosperity. Millions of people slave for this idea. Few are supported by it. Do you see the difference? The laborer works for this idea. The capitalist lets it work for him. One supports the idea, the other is supported by it. Ideas are seeds that come to us from anywhere and everywhere. They float through the air looking for the right mental soil. The right soil is a consciousness of one kind, an unadulterated consciousness in which there are no denials, no contradictions. Do you know when you plant a vegetable seed in your garden, depending on the type of seed you plant, you might harvest carrots or peas or beans or corn, but you have to weed the garden. You have to water it. You have to nurture it. We know that if you don't pull out the weeds by the root, they will take over and you'll have less of a harvest. You'll have fewer vegetables to pull out because the weeds can overtake. Well, that's the same with our negative thoughts. If we focus on the bills to pay, the debt, the lack, there's not enough to go around, we live our lives that way. And we automatically say, oh, I can't do it. I can't afford it. I have to buy shoes for the kids. I'll do that when I have the money. And we never have enough money because we're focused on never having enough money. A wealthy person doesn't think about the bills to pay. They just pay it and they look for ways to earn more money so that they can take care of themselves, their family, their community. And they look for ways to grow their money. They don't look for evidence of lack and poverty. So many people live in fear, worry, and doubt. But if you have faith, haven't you always been taken care of up until now? Maybe there were times that you were hungry, but you never starved to death. Maybe there were times where you didn't appreciate what you had, but you always had enough. What is it that you want? A beautiful house, a certain profession or position, more money, better health? Plant that idea into your subconscious mind. Planting it into your subconscious mind means getting it emotionally involved. Your subconscious mind is your emotional mind. What does it mean to be prosperous? Robert Russell said, repeat the affirmation, I am prosperity. If you think prosperity all the time and keep any antagonistic negative thought out of your mind, prosperity is bound to be manifested in your life. It abides in you. All things are yours. There is a Bible quote, if ye abide in me and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Robert Russell is saying, if you enter into and share in the consciousness of abundance and prosperity and believe in this promise, if divine substance is shaping itself around our thoughts and materializing in our life the things which we think about, instead of focusing on our problems, our worries, our fears, we should keep our mind centered on God, on spirit, on universal intelligence, on the higher version. If you want to be prosperous, if you want to live, notice that you live in an abundant world. Don't say, I want to get rid of poverty. Be affirmative, be positive. Say what you mean and mean what you say. If your thoughts, if your thought is filled with the idea of getting rid of poverty and debt, you are increasing debt in your conscious mind, in your consciousness. Your basic thought, abundance, plenty, opulence, prosperity, then you're going to think and speak in terms of abundance. Let's build a new basic thought and idea that will flood your mind with good, making a new path for that higher version of yourself. Decide on what you really want, and then start to think and act as if it's already yours. You know it. You have faith. If you were already living the way you wanted to be living, if you decided what does success look like and feel like, what would it be like, and get into a vibrational state of energy, a state of being, feeling at ease, creating that feeling of abundance, a time that you didn't worry about death, that you just focused on loving life, living to your fullest potential, enjoying what you created, enjoying your surroundings, having fun, feeling at ease, and expressing that. Prosperity is not a matter of money. Prosperity is a state of well-being. It implies a free and easy access to all that is good and desirable, and it connotes a free, complete, and satisfying life. Many of the poorest people in the world are the happiest because they are so content with their love life. They take pleasure in the work that they do. They enjoy their surroundings. Robert Russell says, riches come by the same law that metal objects come to a steel magnet. The power of attraction is not in the bar of steel, but in the invisible force with which it is charged. So it is with the infinite supply. Do you realize that this is a universe that is infinite, and there is always a supply available? It does not come by hard work. It does not come through physical effort or by willpower, but by the Spirit. There is a spark of infinite intelligence in you. If you believe in God or a higher power, you would believe that by the Spirit of God embodied as a working force in consciousness, there is a power that is always flowing to and through you. And the power draws material riches to a person in abundant measure. They come not because of anything that you do on the outer plane, but by virtue of your consciousness. For unto everyone that hath shall be given. In other words, to him that hath the consciousness of the kingdom of God, all these things shall be added. The universe is filled with infinite substance, but it requires conscious awareness. You have to think, what does it feel like to be what you really want to be? What would it feel like to be prosperous, What does it feel like to be vitally healthy? You can make a list of what you really want and then get ready to tune into the feeling of having it. And how do we cut off worry and fear and doubt? By cutting it off before it has a chance to really take hold in your mind. Like the weeds in your garden, you want to pull them out as soon as they pop up, not let them take root. Pull out, just turn away from thoughts of poverty, weakness, disease, depression, and focus on what is it that you truly desire. How do you tune into what you really want? You get a clear idea of what it would look like. And then you spend time at ease, focused on what the picture would look like, and more importantly, how it would feel. When you get into the feeling of abundance, prosperity, good health, love, if you were doing what you wanted to be doing, how would you describe it? How would you feel about it? Feeling is magnetizing your energy to attract everything that's in harmony with your vision, with your idea, with what you truly want. You don't want to have a double-sided mind where you're thinking about what you would truly love to have in your life, to become, to do, and then worry that it's not going to happen. You have to train your mind to have faith, and faith and fear both demand that you believe in something you cannot see. You have the choice. So spend a little bit of time visualizing that ideal. If you believed that prosperity was yours, if you believed that you are healthy, happy, loved, whatever it is that you want, what would that feel like? Think prosperity, believe prosperity, talk prosperity, act in a prosperous manner, and feel what it would feel like. I'm not talking about spending the money before you have it. I'm not talking about being greedy. I'm not talking about taking from other people. I'm talking about getting into that feeling of well-being, of abundance, a joyful feeling that everything you want is yours. You're happy, you're healthy, you're at peace. Robert Russell says, there are three things necessary for tuning into what you want: a clearly formulated idea, a word pattern to impress it upon the subconscious mind, and faith to keep the idea growing. Can you think of an affirmation that resonates with you, that when you say it over and over and over, it becomes a pattern that you fall in love with and you can believe? What would you love? I am happy, I am healthy, I am living my life joyfully. And then when you say that with affection, with a relaxed state of mind with an expectant mind that it is yours, the reticular activating system in your brain starts to look for evidence to support that. You're in alignment, you're feeling that, and then you start to draw to yourself everything in harmony with those words. What kind of affirmation would match your picture? You can write down what it is that you want. If you were prosperous, what would you be doing with your time, with your energy, with your words, with your finances? The secret of attracting what we want from the universe is in our ability to focus our minds upon an idea until it forms in us a consciousness of itself. Not many people can do this consistently because we're not trained to concentrate on a mental image for any length of time. We end up fluctuating between the higher and lower potentials, and we're constantly distracted. We're diverted by intrusions and what we call reality. If your desire is to integrate the consciousness and subconscious phases of your mind, it is important to be focused on that one single idea of what you desire most. The picture of your desire must be clear, dynamic, penetrating, and powerful. It must reach clear down to the point of acceptance, action, and creation. Robert Russell says we must press our claim with such convincing tones that the subconscious mind will go to work at once to bring it into being. Mind models work because you're so focused on what it feels like when you've already attained your dream, your fantasy, your goal, that you spend so much time thinking about it, feeling it, that as you get ideas, you take action, and then you find yourself, you notice one day you are living peacefully, joyfully, abundantly. You do have a pretty wonderful life. You've created circumstances, conditions, environment that you really enjoy. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. What a person has in his subconscious mind demonstrates itself. We cannot prevent thoughts of lack, limitation, and fear from coming into our conscious mind, but we can prevent them from taking hold, from crystallizing and hampering our work. We can do it by realizing that our word, the words that we speak, become reality. They form, our thoughts form into patterns, and our life is lived by patterns. What pattern are you following? Prosperity is the law of life. The law is continuously operating. Focus your mind, your heart, and your actions on what it is that you truly desire. There is an infinite source, an infinite supply. Get in tune with that picture of what you really want. Focus your attention on it. Spend your leisure time at ease, just feeling into that life, enjoying it, and watch it show up in your reality. Create a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I'll see you back here Monday morning at 7. Oh, I'll see you back here tomorrow at 7. Thank you.